What up, World War 18? Back at it again. Welcome to the episode. Thanks for all of you guys watching for the first time. Hope you liked the video. Check out my other videos. Maybe you find something you like. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you to those who've been with me since the beginning. Truly appreciate you guys for sticking around, watching my videos, liking all that good stuff. Continue to do so. Let's get into this video. It's going to be a good one. Hope you guys enjoy it. Every great hero needs a villain, and some villains just steal the entire show. Whether it's through cunning intelligence, endless ambition, or a voice you can't forget, these cartoon bad guys are more than just evil, they're iconic. Today I'm breaking down some of my personal favorite cartoon villains, the ones who made the shows unforgettable, like Starscream from Transformers, Cobra Commander from GI Joe, Xanatos from Gargoyles, Vandal from Young Justice and other cartoon iterations, and the Demona for Gargoyles. Let's get into what makes them great, what makes them memorable, and why they stand alone above the rest.
How quaint! The girls have come to rescue their boyfriends!
Let's start with Starscream, one of my favorite all-time Transformers villains. Most people would say they like Megatron, but I'm a big Starscream fan. He's a poster child for betrayal. What makes him a standout isn't just his constant backstabbing, it's how hilariously consistent and ambitious he is. He's not just evil, he's greedy, power-hungry, and completely shameless about it. What separates Starscream is that he's both a threat and comic relief. His whining voice, his dramatic flair, it all seems to work somehow. You're never rooting for him, but you love watching him flail gloriously. And every time he tries to overthrow Megatron, we all know it won't end well, but it's always entertainment. I've always been a fan of Starscream. Like I said, I thought he was hilarious. His voice is perfect for him. And he's whiny. He's like the guy who can't get on top but wants to be on top. And there's no way he would ever defeat Megatron because Megatron's bigger and he's more authoritative, whatever. But constantly watching him on screen, trying to be a loyal betrayer is hilarious. Always scheming to be on top. He's definitely in my top tier of cartoon villains. Through every iteration, every form of Transformer, he's always the same way. Not much with the newest Transformer movie that came out a couple months ago. That in that movie he was more of a leader type, even though Megatron did take over the Decepticons, but he wasn't that whiny. But I love his character. I've always loved him, and he is definitely top tier when it comes to villains overall.
But first, Destro, they must find us. And how long can they search the globe before their fuel is gone?
Alright, next up we got Cobra Commander from GI Joe. Possibly one of the most recognizable villain voices in cartoon history. His shrill delivery, his outrageous plans, and his total inability to ever win makes him unforgettable. Cobra Commander is top 5, one of my favorite villains of all time. He's super funny without trying to be funny. He's real smart too, because his plans almost always work, if that makes sense. They're not going to work because G.I. Joe somehow figured it out, but they're close to working every time. There's been several cases where he's damn near come close to winning, like in the G.I. Joe movies, damn near came close to winning before they turned him into a snake. That's a good movie if you haven't seen the G.I. Joe movie. Real good. Duke almost dies. They make it seem like he's going to die like they did Optimus and Transformer, but they didn't kill him off. Anyway, I love Cobra Commander. I like him better than Serpentor. I thought Serpentor was super corny and over the top. I didn't like Destro. I liked the way everybody was trying to betray him, but he always stayed on top. He never really until Serpentor came around, he never really let anybody betray him or take his throne or whatever. And he was always there to almost beat G.I. Joe. That was what makes him one of my favorites, because he never gave up. Even though he was always on the losing end, he never gave up. Every episode he was out there making a new plan to conquer the world or whatever the fuck Cobra does or whatever. He's completely ineffective, and that paradox is what makes him fun. He's pure chaotic evil in a Saturday morning cartoon kind of way, and somehow, despite always losing, he never stops trying, like I said. Great villain, one of the best villains of all time, one of the best voices for a villain of all time. Like I said, he's definitely in my top 5 villain cartoon characters. The next villain I'm going to talk about is top tier villain or whatever. David Xanatos from Gargoyles, the chess master is what they call him. played by Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek: The Next Generation, who was William T. Riker. If you didn't know who that was, Picard's #1. Fantastic voice actor, one of the best choices. Oh my God, his voice acting is amazing. He's like he was made for that. But the Xanatos character, he's super smart. One of the most intelligent villains ever. So his whole story arc was crazy because he started as you portrayed him as a good guy to begin with. He released the gargoyles from their spell. He became their friends. They lived in his tower, and then they had a falling out, so he became their enemy. And then he was a villain to them. And then all of a sudden, he had a kid, and he needed protection, so they became friends again for a little while, and then he was back to a bad guy. So his story arc was up and down. So you get to learn how each character is. You grow with the character. You feel for the characters. It was great storytelling, great animation, great voice acting. It was a good job making the show. But Xanatos, he's unlike any other villain ever. He's brilliant, unlike all other stupid ass villains. He isn't clumsy or loud. He's calculated. He's a businessman, a manipulator, and a planner who's always 10 steps ahead of everybody. Even when he loses, he wins because he always has a plan for his losses or whatever. So he's always ahead of everybody no matter what he does. He has a plan for when he wins. He has a plan for when he loses. So in the end, he's planned for everything so he never loses in the end or whatever. He's not driven by revenge or ego. He's driven by power and legacy. He represents the modern corporate villain who doesn't need to scream to dominate. And honestly, that makes him more terrifying in the end. He's definitely one of the best villains in cartoons. I wish they would do a reboot of the Gargoyles cartoon. Maybe even make a movie. That would be cool too. But they should definitely do a reboot of that cartoon. This is a great cartoon. They have so many more stories they could tell with that. And he's a great villain who would do what he did before, take over the show. He was unbelievable. Every time he was on the screen, you wanted to know what he was doing and what his plan was. Definitely top tier villain. Definitely in my top 3 all time villains, cartoon villains of all time.
Agreed. But who will restore order in the wake of the greater chaos that the child brings? You, with your aging host body? Nabu, you may not like Clarion, or me, but the Witch Boy is a weapon I've learned to aim, to control, and at the very least you know I seek the advancement of the Earth.
Next we have Vandal Savage, the immortal strategist. So I'm about to talk about Vandal Savage from Young Justice. Although he's been in several other iterations, I think he was on the Adventures of Superman cartoon, and he was in the Justice League cartoon. But the Vandal Savage from Young Justice is the one I'm going to be talking about. He's just another level of villain. He's not just powerful, he's ancient. As an immortal, he's seen civilizations rise and fall and believes it's his right to rule humanity. They really fleshed out his character in Young Justice. They showed his beginning, how he was a caveman, he slept on the meteor that gave him his powers or whatever, and how he evolved over the centuries to become the type of villain that he is. He is so smart because you don't get that smart without living that long. Like he's been around for generations or whatever. In the cartoon, they showed him having kids and developing them and having to kill his own daughter. So he's a complex character. He's always a bad guy, but his needs come first. So in the cartoon, it shows him saving the world and working with heroes, but only because if there's no world, he can't rule it. So what sets Vandal apart is the long game. He doesn't need to fight you today. He'll wait 100 years and let time wear you down. He's patient, methodical, and unshakably calm. That kind of confidence makes him unnerving. He doesn't yell. He simply knows he's inevitable. He's like Thanos. He's inevitable. He can like you have a hero. Humans die. He's never going to die. So he can just, like I said, he can just wait them out, wait till they die, and just move on to the next one. He's just an unbelievable, calculating villain. One of the smartest villains in all of Marvel. I mean, in all of DC, in my opinion. Just because he knows that he can wait pretty much anybody else, unless you're fucking like a god or something. He can wait you out, and he'll be there until the end of time because he's never going to die. There was actually an episode on the Superman series where Superman, they think he dies, but he gets fast forwarded in time, and Vandal Savage is there, and he talks to Superman. He becomes like human because he's the last one there. Everybody's already dead, and he becomes insane because there's nobody to talk about. And he tells Superman that he wants to change or whatever, and if he gets him back in his time, make that possible where he can change or whatever. I don't think he changed him or whatever, but it's a great story arc, and it shows that in the end, when all else fails, when all humanity is gone, he becomes a changed man. So if you haven't seen that episode of the Justice League, definitely check that out. It's one of the best episodes in my opinion. But yeah, Vandal Savage is amazing. He's a great villain. Definitely check out Young Justice too. If you haven't seen that, it's on Max. All 4, I think, seasons, and he's definitely a prominent character in that show.
After 1,000 years of solitude, does that mean nothing to you? Very well then. If you are not my ally, then you are my enemy. I have a name too, Goliath. The humans gave it to me long ago. You should know it before you die. I am...
This is going to be the only female on my list, Demona, the tragic villain, played by Marin Sardis from Star Trek The Next Generation, who was Deanna Troi, the ship counselor. Fantastic voice actor. Her voice acting is amazing in this cartoon. So Demona is an amazing villain. Her whole story arc is unbelievable. They really flesh out this character. They make you love her and hate her at the same time, but they also make you understand why she has these feelings towards humanity. So she's one of the most tragic villains in animation. She's been betrayed, angry, and immortal. She turns her pain into hatred. Unlike the others, you can feel her pain. What makes her most unforgettable is that she believes she's right. Her hatred for humans comes from centuries of betrayal, but she's also her worst enemy. Her vendetta consumes her, and you can't help but feel her fear and pity. She's complex, she's powerful, and she shows how a villain can be layered and emotionally deep. So her character goes through so much over the centuries and throughout this cartoon. She starts as a good guy. She's in love with Goliath. They have eggs together. The humans destroy their eggs. The humans freeze them for centuries. She gets released. She gets into a spell where she's bound to this one guy, and the only way she can die is if they kill each other. So she's immortal. She's human during the day, and she's a gargoyle at night. And they made her a white woman too, which is kind of weird because I always picture gargoyles as being black. But whatever. That's beyond the point. But her character is amazing because the things that she goes to, and like I said, you could understand why she hates humans so much, and why she pities Goliath because he loves humans. And her whole story arc is one of the best story arcs in cartoon history, in my opinion. As a villain, going from a good guy, a sort of good guy, to a villain, to being angry all the time, to being hated, to hating humans for her entirety of the show, and to be so complex and be so smart too. Truly one of the best villains in all of cartoons. She's definitely in my top 5. That's why I chose her. Like I said, she's the only female in this because you can't deny how good a villain she is, to tell you the truth. But yeah, she's amazing. And if you haven't seen Gargoyles, they have all the seasons on Disney Plus, so definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. It still holds up today. It's a great cartoon. Like I said, the episodes connect, so you follow the whole story, and you learn so much about all of these characters, including Xanatos and her. Her and Xanatos are together as teammates for some sections of the show or whatever, and then they become deep enemies too. So it's very complex story, very complex villain, and it's a real good portrayal of a hurt villain that you learn to love, I guess you could say. So I'm a grown man. I still love cartoons. I've loved cartoons all my life, and what makes cartoons great for me is a great villain. That goes from TV shows to movies or whatever. But a great villain in a cartoon will make even a bad cartoon fantastic. From Starscream in Transformers, Cobra Commander GI Joe, Xanatos from Gargoyles, Vandal Savage from Young Justice, and Demona from Gargoyles also. They're all fantastic villains. They all show you themselves. Some are funny, some are more calculated, some are super smart. I prefer the super smart villain. It just makes the show so much better. It makes you feel like they actually have a chance to win, even though they really don't in the end. But I love character arcs. I love cartoons that show the villains growing and evolving, like Vandal Savage grew and evolved in Young Justice, like Demona and Xanatos and Gargoyles. I love that aspect of villainy and how you can grow from your mistakes and get better and try to accomplish your goal as a bad guy or whatever. Even though the good guys, they make it where these shows, the good guys always win. It makes you still feel like the bad guys have a chance to win at the end. I'm not saying I like for bad guys to win, but I like when they get close enough where you think that the villain can actually win the fight or whatever, or accomplish their ultimate goal. That's what makes these cartoons fun to me, because you always seem to think that they have a chance to win. In the end, they don't, but you always, especially Xanatos. Xanatos actually had chances to win, and there were several episodes where he did win. So I love that aspect of these villains that I chose. There was a couple more villains that I could have chosen, but these are like my solid 5 that I wanted to put in this video. Treacherous sidekicks to cold-blooded masterminds, these villains all brought something special to the screen. Starscream gives us chaos. Cobra Commander gave us drama. Xanatos gave us strategy. Vandal Savage gave us patience. And Demona gave us emotion. They weren't just evil, they were unforgettable, and that's what separates a good villain from a great one. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. What do you think about the villains I chose? Who are some of the villains that are your favorite villains? What do you think about my explanations of all the villains or whatever? I appreciate you guys. You could have been on anybody else's channel and you decided to watch mine, so thank you for giving me 5 to 10 minutes of your day. Time is valuable, and I know that it takes time out of your day to watch somebody's video, so I truly appreciate it. I watch a lot of videos at 2 times speed so I can go through the whole video, because I like watching full videos. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'll get at y'all on the next one. Have a good one. Later.